Welcome everyone to Enoch 360. That's right, Enoch 360. I told you I wasn't going anywhere. I'm like a bad penny. I just keep coming back. So tonight I am going to do my best to bring some pain to your brain. And what do I mean by that? We're going to deep dive into the ancient pyramids. You know, all this focus right now that you see on the pyramids is how they were built. You know, how did they do it? How were they able to build these structures? But the true question you should be asking yourself is, what do they symbolize? And is this the work of ancient man? So, as you know how we do these things, you have to deep dive. So I made some notes. Honestly, I don't know if how much we'll get through, but we're gonna start. I'm going to try to introduce you into a few things. Probably starting off with sacred numbers, because it's really the basis of starting to understand all these things. You gotta have to know that, because that's where a lot of the secret messaging is hidden in the ancient texts. So let me find myself here. Here's a little, we'll get back to this, but this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the ancient pyramids of Giza. This is an overlay of the stars. And we are going to get into how incredible this actually is. And when we start talking numbers, it's really hard to understand, just for me speaking. So what I did is I made an Excel file for this, so we can hopefully you can kind of follow along, and I could drive some points home. So we are going to call this Thoth's Time Temple, because as you will find out, Thoth is who actually, if you go to the ancient texts and the emerald tablets, Thoth is the one who says that he built the pyramids. And one thing that's special about Thoth, when you look back at the Watchers, the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, almost all of them wanted to be worshipped as gods, even though they were not gods. Thoth is one of the few that refused to be worshipped as a god. As a matter of fact, when he was approached and they tried to worship him, he told them to get up. He said, "I am not a god. I am a child of Atlantis." That mythical place that nobody has any evidence of, there's evidence of it. It's written. And Thoth claims to be a child of Atlantis. So, as we start this, what I did is I just started putting a bunch of numbers down here so you can kind of follow along, and I'll try to show you how numbers have meaning. So if you take the radius of the moon, 1080, and you break that down into its root number, 1 plus 8 equals 9. You take the diameter, 2160. 3 plus 6 is 9. You take the sun, and here's the first bombshell for you that you are going to be totally inundated with if you study the ancient texts. The radius, 432,000. 432 frequency. It's all over the ancient texts. They are trying to get that through to you. There is something so special about 432 that it's all throughout ancient history. The diameter, 864,000, breaks down to 9. Now if I go up here to the top here, we'll just go to the day. How many minutes are in a day? Guess what? 144, 1440. That is another number that pops up that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. 144,000 in the Bible. Well, just imagine this number has been in use for thousands of years before the Bible was written. It is a very important number. And guess what? 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 4 is 9. How many seconds are in a full day? 86400. Breaks down to 9. From noon to midnight, a 12-hour cycle, 432. 4 and 3, 7 plus 2 is 9. You'll find out there are sacred numbers out there, and there's some numbers that are more sacred than others. 3, 6, and 9 are some of the most sacred numbers you will find throughout the ancient texts. Even Nikola Tesla was onto this. You could research 369 Tesla and find all kinds of information about it. He knew. He knew. You take the standard foot, 12 inches. 12 inches square is 144. There's that number again. 1 plus 4 is 5 plus 4 equals 9. 1 cubic foot, 1728, breaks down to 9. Square yard, 1296, breaks down to 9. Then you get into geometry. We get into this something that we call the Platonic solids. Okay, the Platonic solids are sacred geometry. And you take the diameter of a circle, 360 equals 9. Did you catch it? Did you catch it? Enoch 360 equals, you're right, 9. I've done a lot of planning for this. When I started House of Enoch, the date that I started House of Enoch broke down to 8. So I knew all along, from the beginning, that the last chapter, episode 500, was going to end on a 9. It's turning the page. My new platform, Enoch 360, 3 plus 6 is 9. We are ascending, and we'll start seeing how my brain works and how I'm using numbers for all this, and I have been from the get-go. A triangle. The degrees of a triangle is 180. 1 plus 8 is 9. The cube. A cube is in 3D space is 6-sided. So not just a square, but it's a 6-sided. And as I move into this and talk about all this stuff a lot more, you will see exactly how important the cube is in the ancient texts and sacred knowledge. 2/1/6. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 6 is 9. We even get into the zodiac. So, each section of the zodiac, Libra, all of them, is a decon. That's standard measurement. 7209. 2 decons, 1440 again, equals 9. 3 decons, and you can go all the way around the zodiac, and they will all break down to 9. Okay? So all the Platonic solids are also represented in the zodiac. Even the Sumerian year, we went by 365 days a year. The Sumerian year was 360 days. 9. Okay. Okay, I think that starts it. Now I'm going to start to try to melt your brain to the best of my ability. The pyramid as it stands right now is 481 feet tall, but you have to remember that it's missing its capstone. If you put the capstone back on it, it would be 482.757, and I left out a 5. And they know this because they can take the radius and they can find where the actual point was. Well, what's crazy about that is 482.7575 times 43200 equals 20855.124, which breaks down into 3949.893, which is the Earth's radius. So right off the rip, they're telling you they know the radius of the Earth, and they are going to bash it into your brain before we get done how much they actually know. So when you look at the pyramid today, you see the base of the pyramid. But actually the pyramid has an outer base, and if you look on the corners, you can actually see it sticking out. So they can calculate what the outer base of the pyramid was. And this is crazy. So you have the inner base and you have the outer base. They knew this. Because what they did, the inner base is 3023.139. The outer base is 3043 point something. The longitude line that it sits on is 3023.39. And the latitude is 3043.139. They knew exactly where to put this. They knew they knew the longitude and the latitude, and they knew exactly what size to convey this message to you. Another crazy fact about the pyramids: the speed of light is 299,792,458. Well, guess what? The northern degree of the pyramid is 299,792,458. Tell me that's a coincidence. Tell me that ancient man knew the speed of light. Explain that to me. Let's scroll down a little bit here. Trust me, we're just getting started here. The pyramid itself is a mathematical circle. That is important because, let me just draw this out for you, what I'm talking about. The best that I can here. The reason this is important is because you will see the symbolism get expanded on and expanded on and expanded on throughout the secret text. Also, check this out. The pyramid, even when you divide it, it still fits exactly inside the radius of the Earth. It's down to a fraction. So you fraction it back out, and you get this symbol. I'm sure everybody's seen that before, right? You know what else this symbolizes? The male and the female, which also symbolizes the yin, the yang, positive, the negative. There's so much hidden symbolism in just that right there. Okay. If you really look closely at the pyramid, you'll notice it is not a straight angle to the top. It has what they call a concave, a curve, a slight curve. As you follow it up, it has a slight curve. Well, guess what? That concave of the pyramid is the exact concave of the radius of the Earth. So if you took the Earth, there you go, and had it come down to the pyramid, that concave would match exactly the radius of the pyramid. Coincidence? I don't think so. The pyramid is basically a model of the Earth from a 432,000, that number again, ratio to 1. It is a model to scale. This is going to blow your mind. So if you take it to that scale, all right, the pyramid builder also knew how fast the Earth was rotating, okay? And they calculated this out. They knew that in 2 seconds, if you have 1 point and you calculate the Earth moving in 2 seconds, how far would it go? It's the exact measurement of the base of the pyramid. They knew this. They knew this. And the only way that works is if they placed it perfectly on the Earth in that exact spot, or none of these calculations would work. But they knew this. It can't all be coincidence, right? So the height of the pyramid measures a ratio of 1 to 432,000, which, when you do the math for it, is the Earth's polar radius. As crazy as that is. The pyramid is a model of one hemisphere of Earth at 1 to 432,000. It's a model. They're showing you. They're giving you so much information. It should be making your mind explode right now. The pyramid also points to magnetic north. All the cardinal points exact. Is located on one of the few places on the Earth that would actually support the weight of such a structure, which they estimate, I don't think they really know, but they're estimating at 5.7 million tons. Even the scientists of today recognize that the pyramid is at least 4,500 years old. I believe it's much older than that, but even the scientists are telling you that this is old. And if you equate that and look back at the timeline of biblical times, pyramids were thousands of years old when Jesus walked the earth. That's how old the pyramids are. To the people of that time, the pyramids were probably a mystery. Maybe not to Jesus, but to the people of that time, it was already a mystery to them. That's how old they were. To make all these calculations and make them work, they had to know the exact size of the Earth, the radius of the Earth. They had to know the longitudinal and latitudinal lines. And you know how you have those lines and there's a corner. They put that pyramid in the exact corner. And what they're doing is they're saying this is the scale, the perfect scale at that ratio, 432,000 to 1 of the Earth. If you scale up the pyramid, it fits perfectly in the Earth's radius. Even if you split it end over end, just like I showed you, the yin, the yang, all that stuff, it fits perfectly. One of the things that you might not know is that I'm sure you've heard of the great hallway that goes up through the center of the pyramid. It goes up to the king's chamber, and they talk about this empty sarcophagus up at the top of the king's chamber. Well, isn't it a coincidence that that empty sarcophagus, what they're calling a sarcophagus, is the exact measurements to be able to fit the Ark of the Covenant down into that? It wasn't a sarcophagus. It was never a tomb. It was to hold the Ark of the Covenant. Look up the measurements of the Ark of the Covenant and look at the inside dimensions of that. sarcophagus, and you will see it will fit perfectly inside of it. Another question you might ask yourself, I know I ask myself, is how come there's pyramids all over the world? And how come there's so many pyramids that have the same exact base measurement as the Great Pyramid of Giza? It's almost like they had the same teacher. They're thousands of miles apart. They're not supposed to have any contact with each other, but they have all coded messaging in their pyramids. And I believe that the pyramid makers knew that this thing had to withstand the test of time, had to be done in such a way that mankind couldn't screw it up. This colossal structure with all this information embedded in it, it was so big that even mankind would have a hard time destroying it. So it could make it to this day and age that we are in now, that we can actually understand and put this together of what they knew back then. And the only thing I can think in my mind to put that much manpower, that much labor, and that much time into a colossal structure like this, it had to withstand the test of time because it was important. Why else would you take a task on like this unless maybe possibly your life depended on it, or the future of mankind, or their future, because who knows how time dilation works. Maybe it's something that we got to figure out to help them in the future, even though they made it in the past. You know what I'm saying? It's who knows? Who knows? Now, if I haven't smoked your brain yet, I'm going to completely smoke your brain on this next section here. Again, we're not going to get to all these notes. There's no way. But you have an introduction to how special the pyramids are. That's the message I'm trying to convey to you. One other thing before we get to this, the grand hallway. The grand hallway that leads up to the king's chamber changes sizes ever so slightly. If you take every time that it changes sizes and you start at 0, it goes all through the predictions of the Bible, all the way, Jesus' birth, Jesus' death, all the prophecies of the Bible coincide with the hallway leading up to the top of the king's chamber. And again, at the top, you have an empty sarcophagus, but it was never a tomb. So people get scared that, well, what's that supposed to mean in Revelation, that there's an empty tomb there? No, it was the Ark of the Covenant. It was life. It was ascension. We'll get into that more later, but it's not doom and gloom, it's hope. So, again, now if we go back to how the pyramids of the Giza Plateau were laid out, you are going to find out that it is a star map, a planetary map that shows you all the planets and their distance to the sun at any given time. And I'm going to prove this to you. It's mind-boggling again, but just showing you how smart this builder was. We just go to number 1 here. Okay, so that's kind of how it lays out over the Giza Plateau. And what they've done here, and this is what Thoth taught. He taught the people this. But see the straight lines here and how the angles touch the peaks here and makes a big rectangle. See, these are other sites. These are other sites on the Giza Plateau, all these little points. Okay, these little points that you see, they start doing rays. These are planets. And in the center of this is the sun. And you see the relationship of the sun to Mercury, and how it moves out like this, even the distance, the exact distance. So even right here, see how it's a lot closer here than it is over here? Wait till you see this. It's going to boggle your mind. So that's laid out across the Giza Plateau. Let's take a look at this one and see what we got here. Okay, that's it without the overlay behind it. You can kind of see the pyramids. You see the pyramids and how they drew the line. You can actually do this yourself. You can actually walk through this and do this star map yourself and get to the exact same conclusion. Takes a little bit of time, but you can do it. Here you go. Here's a side-by-side of what you're looking at right here. The pyramids laid out compared to NASA's planetary layout of the planets. So you look at the sun here. Look at NASA's sun. Look at the relationship. There's Mercury. See how it's closer here, wider here, the same angle. Look at the distance from here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here. What they are telling you is they knew the distance that we were from Earth, what the distance of the moon was, and all the planets, and how they rotated around the Earth, or around the sun. They're showing you this. They're showing you this. And I believe they knew that it would take a certain amount of time and advancement before anybody would ever actually figure this out. It's absolutely genius. But what I want to do now is I'm going to overlay the NASA planetary layout over the Giza, just so you can see how close this actually is. That is NASA's map overlaid with Thoth's Temple of Time. Coincidence? The purpose that's trying to be conveyed here and the symbolism that you're seeing is to break you free. Is to break you free that no man can interfere with the sacred knowledge. And it's been here for us to discover, for us to find, to break us free. That there is something, that we aren't dumb animals that just evolved. There's a purpose. You have a purpose. We are special. This planet is special. This planet is a temple. And their ancients are trying to convey this message through all these things, and they're trying to show you the frequencies to tune into. They're filling our heads with ancient knowledge. So to return to this, we'll come back to the stars now, right where we started. There you go. There's the pyramids, the Temple of Giza, overlaid with the stars themselves. So you have to ask yourself, is this the work of an ancient worker, a primitive man, or is this a super knowledge, a divine knowledge that put this here for us to discover in this century, right now? Now is the time. It's happening as we speak. The more you dive into this, and the more you dive into sacred geometry, the more you dive into sacred numbers, hidden knowledge, you will find out that there are levels to this. There are multiple levels to this. And it's put in such a way that it's put in a way that it'll work for you no matter where you're vibrating. You know, you could read the text and you can get what you need. You can get what you need. But as you ascend and as you gain knowledge, there are levels to this. There are levels to the Bible. There are levels to the ancient texts that go far beyond. Let's say there is one meaning that you know. There's actually 10 more. 10 more messages being conveyed. That's how deep this goes. So, humbly, I hope I at least got you on the right path to talk about this, to get you thinking about these things. I will definitely be returning to this. I could probably do 10 more videos and probably not get through one of the pyramids. There is so much hidden and sacred information embedded in these that I haven't even scratched the surface. And if we wanted to go through some more numbers, I can get you way past the point where it boggles my brain. But I can show you. I can show you how it all ties in together. So until the next time, I love you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you did. Please share it. And I will talk to you guys on the next one.